It's the weekend, time to ride in internet memes coattails. If you've been on YouTube lately, you've no doubt seen tons of users uploading videos where they draw their life on a whiteboard. Done in a similar style to YouTuber ViHart's videos about math, users sit down and talk about their lives starting from birth and illustrate the story using crude stick figures. There are tons of these videos online, and to the best of my ability, I was able to track this meme starting with YouTuber Sam Pepper on January 8th of this year. And since we cover internet culture here on TFN, I figured, hey, why not jump on the meme bandwagon as the wheels are about to fall off, am I right, guys? I'm a nobody on a YouTube show, why shouldn't I draw my life too? So I did. Here it is. All right, this is Draw My Life with me, Scott Bromley. All right, so the story starts with my parents. My dad, he was a super jock, while my mother, well, she was the homecoming queen, and they got married. Then, about 3 years later, on Cinco de Mayo, they got really drunk. And then my mom got pregnant with twins. So then, sometime in late January, my sister and I were both born. I was always a really, really happy baby, and she was miserable. She was always angry. But growing up, I was always sick. And then I got my tonsils taken out, and that fixed it. Except there was one side effect, I got fat. And then instead of being a miserable fat kid, I was just a really happy fat kid. And my parents told me that I should do what I want and do whatever made me happy. So I played tons of video games, and I watched a lot of cartoons, and I read a lot of comic books, and I watched movies. But the one thing that I loved more than any of it was television. I loved TV. I watched everything. I have kind of encyclopedic knowledge for pop culture and TV, and I even read Daily Variety as a kid. It was a really weird kid. Then when I was 10, I took a stop motion animation class at the Boys and Girls Club, and I was hooked. I started making stop motion animated movies of monsters attacking towns and stuff. And I thought that was a really cool thing to do, but I never thought I could make a living until junior high, when I met my friend Joey. And Joey's dad was directing a movie about a cowboy and a spaceman, and that movie was called Toy Story. And he was directing this movie, and he kind of took me under his wings and said, hey, you can make a living as an animator. I do it every day. You should go to the college that I went to. And the college he told me about was Cal Arts, and it was founded by Walt Disney, and it was a real animation school. And so from that moment on, I was totally focused on going to Cal Arts. Yeah, so then in high school, I continued to be a funny fat kid. I parted my hair in the middle now, you know, because it was the 90s. And I took a lot of figure drawing classes, because that's what you're supposed to do. And I made more movies, and I watched a ton of TV, you know, for research purposes, watched a lot of Simpsons. And I also played a lot of video games and GoldenEye for research, totally for research. And then after high school, I got accepted to Cal Arts, and it was amazing. It was some of the most fun I've ever had in my life, making cartoons every single day and animating all the time. And then I worked in the animation industry for a long time in Hollywood, but it was making me even fatter and more miserable, so I lost a bunch of weight, and then I got happy, and then I moved back to San Francisco because I was really miserable. And when I was in San Francisco, I got a job at Current TV. And right after I started working at Current TV, I had a really, really bad stomach ache. And I went to the hospital and found out my spleen spontaneously ruptured, and I was going to die, and the doctors weren't going to operate on me. But remember my miserable sister from earlier? She is now a really happy nurse, and she fought the doctors and forced them to operate on me, and I lived. So thanks, sis. And after that, at Current, I was writing and producing more, and then they eventually put me on camera, and I started hosting, and I really liked that. And from there, I started over at IGN, doing some video stuff. And then while I was at IGN, I met 5 of my best friends in the world, and we started our own podcast called The Comedy Button, and that is awesome. And I love doing that every single day, making jokes on the internet. And then from there, I got a job at Revision 3, and I'm hosting Tech Feed. And that's my life. And right now, I'm still living in San Francisco. With my girlfriend of the last 4 years, who's a triplet, which is really weird because I'm a twin and she's a triplet, and we're probably gonna get married and are scared to have children because they're gonna be multiples. maybe, because it runs in both of our families and we're terrified of it. So yeah, that's our story. And the one thing I learned from all of this, especially after dying, was life is too short. You have to do what you want. And I've been doing what I've wanted ever since I almost died. So that's my life. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. And for TFN, I'm Scott Bromley saying I should draw better than I did in this because I was classically trained and I'm actually ashamed of what I drew here. All right, bye.